It's been 100 days since we turned my Saltwater Paludarium to life. This project has turned my bedroom into a tropical oasis, and I can't wait to show you how this ecosystem has developed since our last video. This might just be the biggest update yet. We added new life, but also faced some major setbacks, and I did things that I thought were never possible. In this video we're covering it all, from the recent developments to the latest failures. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel and let's get started. Wait, did you see that? Where did it go? Ah, there it is. This is a Falco's hawkfish. One of our latest additions to the Saltwater Paludarium, a pin-sized predator with a big personality. Perched atop of rocks, corals, or in this case macroalgae, its spiky dorsal fin flares like a crown, giving it an air of authority. Its pale body is patterned with intricate red bands, blending seamlessly with the reef. He is a master of camouflage and a great hunter. This tiny guardian watches with keen, expressive eyes, scanning for the slightest movement of unsuspecting prey. Should we name this new fish? Leave your suggestions down below. The hawkfish likes to hang out on the right side of the Saltwater Paludarium. There is so much to discover here. From our rock with tube worms that are busy filtering the water with their fans to the sponges in the back and the mangroves in between, he loves it all. I recently added some cool macroalgae in this corner as well. It will take some time to settle in, but once it does, we really have to keep up with regular maintenance because these will take over for sure. And wait, why does the sand look different here? Oh look, it's the sand cucumber working its way throughout the aquarium cleaning the sand. How cool is this? Alrighty, let's move up a little bit. Let's take a look inside the tide pool. These three corals, a species called Alveopora, looks really cool here. I think we should buy a few more in different colors. And man, look at this opening in the tide pool. It's like a portal. Let's take a look inside. I added one more rock flower anemone. This one has a lot of orange and yellow tints to it. When I put it in there, it stayed in the perfect spot for a few days, but then it decided it was time to move. Unfortunately, it moved right in between the macroalgae, so it's a bit hidden for now. But oh well, if the anemone likes it there, I'm happy. The fast-growing macroalgae gives the tide pool a natural look. Something I really like. This was my goal. But unfortunately for us, it becomes more difficult to spot smaller forms of life, like these tiny shrimp we added in there. Sexy shrimp and Peterson's cleaner shrimp are awesome additions to this aquarium, but they are so small it's hard to see them. I also placed a yellow feather duster worm in between the mangroves, and it looks like there is another one in the back as well. I am not going to lie, I like this messy look. It looks really natural. But we do have to keep certain macroalgae in check, otherwise they will take over the entire tank and kill everything else. Now this is pretty cool as well. Look at the white crust on the trunk of these mangroves. It's salt. In the wild, this salt gets washed off with the tides. Unfortunately, my aquarium doesn't have a tide system, so I have to spray it off manually. I am so happy with the way that the tide pool is taking shape. It's the perfect hideaway for small critters. But wait, what's that in the back? That looks really weird. Well, I never thought this day would come, but Danny's Aquariums bought a filter for his aquarium. As you know, if you are a regular viewer, all my previous aquariums were set up without the use of mechanical filtration. They all relied on biological filtration through beneficial bacteria that live in the water. So you may ask, why did I get a filter this time? Well, it's simply for simplicity. There are no sponges inside the filter, so technically not much has changed to my no filter stance on reef keeping. The main purpose of this filter is to improve flow and heating throughout the aquarium. The middle part of the aquarium had the least amount of flow. It's an 8-foot long aquarium or 250 centimeters, so it's a big challenge to get it right all throughout the tank. We put a smaller return pump behind the reef rocks a few weeks ago, but it really wasn't cutting it. This new pump is capable of moving 400 gallons an hour. That's a lot more than the 80-gallon pump we had in here before. But okay, that's one thing fixed. Flow is now perfect. But next, let's talk about heating. When we built this aquarium, we put a large heater behind the tide pool, but the return pump close to it only pushed water to the right side of the tank. I figured we could make heating this tank so much more efficient by using an internal heater. This new filter is a great new addition. Right now it sucks water in from the right side of the tank, runs it past the heater and blows it back into the left side of the aquarium, which flows back towards the right side. Another added benefit is that I was able to install a surface skimming intake on it. This intake replaces the small electrical driven surface skimmer I used previously. This was an annoying device because I had to service it every few days, because the little sponge inside of there would become saturated with waste. And yes, you are right, this is a stainless steel intake, and yes, this will cause problems. It will start rusting one day or another, and that's a fact. I bought a glass intake, but well, what do you think happened with that? Yep, I broke it. So then I went back to the local fish store and bought the last one they had in stock, and yes, I broke that one as well. Don't even ask, okay? It even caused the power to go out in the entire house, but let's move on from that. I did find a stainless steel intake, so for now I just put it on there, and hopefully it should be fine. In the next few days I'll get a new glass intake, and let's hope that goes a lot smoother than the previous 2 times. 3 times a charm, right? Now let's move up a little further and check out the plant mountain. As you can see, it has grown a lot, and more importantly, no salt issues. Over 3 months in and the plants are still doing great. Look at the growth on this bromeliad. And check out this plant. It's wrapping itself around the rocks. The biggest plant of them all, the asparagus fern, is growing really fast. It is now even reaching towards the light. Now next to this big piece is a smaller camo plant. I bought it at a convention last week. I think it's a great addition. Despite these positive developments, we also faced a major issue on the left side of the aquarium that had me worried about the future of the Saltwater Paludarium, but more on that later. Let's move back down into the underwater world of our giant Saltwater Paludarium. A friend of mine gave me some very cool acan corals. I put them together in this spot for now, but might move a few to other parts of the reef to make it look more natural and not so much like a man-made arrangement of coral. Now, if you couldn't tell by my horrible accent, I live in Europe. Unfortunately, macroalgae are rarely seen on the market here because there is a lot of bureaucracy involved. But having lots of cool macroalgae in my tank was a dream, so I went the extra mile and spent way too much money on some algae. It was a difficult process, but I managed to import a few species of macroalgae through a supplier who imported it all out of Indonesia. So, considering this, please give this video a thumbs up, it really helps. Unfortunately, not all of them are looking good, but I have hopes that they will recover. You can already see some new green growth on this one. I think they are pretty resilient and will be fine. I also bought a pair of new fish, 2 beautiful filefish. And to be honest, they are hard to spot sometimes. Their camouflage is great. These fish are the reef's quiet observers. As you spend more time observing the tank, you notice how these filefish bring a new sense of calm to the environment. Unlike the more boisterous species that dart and chase around, filefish move slowly and deliberately. They have a curious and intelligent nature, often hovering in front of a coral or rock, investigating every nook and cranny. They also help with pest control by eating unwanted Aptasia anemones, the ones that we spotted on our live rock earlier. I think these fish are a great new addition to the saltwater ecosystem. And maybe by now you've noticed something else about the paludarium that has changed, perhaps a pretty big change. This had me worried like you can't even imagine. A few weeks ago I found a ton of white flies on one of my plants. One of the big plants on the left was infested with pests. This was a worst case scenario because treating it with chemicals wasn't an option. It would kill all the life inside the aquarium and wreck the system for good. So instead I decided to quickly put the plant inside a trash bag and suck up anything that fell off with a vacuum cleaner. A few days later, after making sure I didn't see any other pests, I put some new plants in that spot, and these seem to do great. It looks like we really dodged a bullet here, but I am sure that this won't be the last challenge we will face on this system. So make sure you subscribe, and I hope to see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.